Welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we are going to be looking at a suspension system, and we're going to be looking at the coil springs and dampers. One of the most commonly used suspension system on most cars. You can just see on your normal road car, you would see a suspension system, which is mainly for most of the cars that we see today. It's basically just a coil spring. So to kick it off, let's basically know the basics. So what is a suspension system? So a suspension system is a system in a car that is used to reduce the road shocks and vibration that are caused by the engine and the road. And it basically acts as a cushion and kind of like insulator from the engine and a cushion from the road, where you wouldn't feel every single imperfection, so you wouldn't be thrown about. There are also plenty of other advantages, such as it reduces the body roll of the car. So if you're taking a corner, your whole car won't just tilt to the side. It'll kind of just sag to the side. So, and then it also allows the car to dive and to also squat. So what are dive and squat? So dive is basically when you're braking and the weight is basically moved to the front of the car. You could see it on a car where if the driver presses the brake pedal, the front end of the car would kind of sag forward. And squatting is when you accelerate the car and the rear end of the suspension system, or the rear end of the car, starts to lower down and it kind of sags. So those are squatting and diving. So now let's move on to the board right here. Alright, so now let's talk about the drawing on the board. So here we have just the coil spring. It's not along with the damper. It's just a coil spring, and what a coil spring is basically just a larger version of a regular spring that is able to take a way higher load and able to withstand it. So a coil spring is used on a car, and it works with the damper. It's kind of like a team. And what the coil spring is good at doing is it is really good at absorbing the energy that is being applied when you drive over a bump. So it is really good at absorbing the shock. But what it really isn't good at doing is releasing the energy that's being stored. And one of the best ways that I could explain this is by when you take a small, the spring from your pen, you compress it. It's going to be really easy to compress, and you would notice that it stores the energy really well. But once you just slightly let go of it, it flings back. And it just shoots out of your hand, and you immediately know that it's not good at releasing the energy. So right now we're gonna be in the next board. We're gonna be looking at the dampers, which help in releasing the energy, at the same time also kind of absorbing the energy along with the coil spring. So they both are like the whole system, which is also known as the suspension system. Alright, so now let's move on to the dampers. Now the damper works with the coil spring as a whole unit, and what it does is basically dissipates the energy that is stored by the coil springs. Now don't get me wrong, the coil springs do dissipate the energy, but it is very slow at doing it, and it is just not perfect, and it kind of bounces back and forward really fast for a couple of seconds, sometimes even minutes, depending on how big the coil spring is. So what the damper does is basically acts as a cushion and kind of releases the energy slowly and steadily, but at the same time way faster than how long it would take for just the coil spring to release it. And it would do it in a really slow and steady manner, so your car won't just be bouncing up and down while you hit a small imperfection on the road. So it also acts as a cushion to release this stored energy. And right here we have a small simple diagram of how a damper looks inside the suspension system. So it is basically just a piston. So it's a piston with small holes in it to allow the hydraulic fluid to go past it when the suspension kind of compresses. And it can also be a gas. It's not always a hydraulic fluid. In some suspension systems, there's also gases that are used. So it basically allows the hydraulic fluid to flow past it, but it has a lot of resistance, so it does it steadily, and it releases the energy in a slower but steady manner. So that is how the dampers and the coil spring work. Alright, so now it is the end of the video. So this video is just gonna give you a gist of how and what is a suspension system. So one of the most commonly used suspension systems, and I really hope you learned something today. And there are also plenty of other videos that go in detail, so you could also check those out. They're on YouTube. Obviously, you can just search it up. And yeah, so thank you for watching. If you like this video, it will be amazing if you give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.